I just remember her facial expression. It was kind of like a look of shock.
Once you heard the shooting, what did you think that was?
I knew it was a gunshot.
How many times was she shot? How many gunshots did you hear?
I thought I had died.
Do you have any opinion on whether Dr. Parker could have foreseen JD's actions that day based on the information that she had?
I think it would be difficult for anyone to have foreseen that.
Well, it could be tipping the scales in the criminal trial for the first grader shoots teacher case in the case against Dr. Ebony Parker, the former assistant principal of a Virginia elementary school. Abby Zwerner, the teacher who was shot by the 6-year-old, won her civil case. We watched that play out here on Court TV.
We, the jury, on the issues joined, find in favor of the plaintiff, Abigail Zwerner, and assess her damages at $10 million. The award interest beginning on June 1st, 2024.
That was $10 million. It wasn't her money. You know, I'm sure she was a little disappointed by the civil jury's verdict, but now the criminal proceedings are ahead, and she's charged with 8 counts of felony child neglect. What can we expect at the trial? How might witnesses here play a factor into the criminal courtroom and civil night and day? We have with us an attorney representing many of the students, 8 of them, and an adult. Let's bring her in here to discuss. Emily Brandon. Emily, good morning to you. First, what is your connection to the case? You're representing students, these 8 students. What's your role? What's the student's role and the adult that you represent's role here as we move forward towards this criminal proceeding?
Thank you, Ted. Yes, I represent 8 students who were witness to the shooting in the classrooms, and I represent an adult who was actually on school grounds that day to pick up a grandchild and ended up in the melee in the front office and actually did render some aid to Abby during the commotion before first responders arrived. And the basis of those lawsuits is related to the emotional pain and suffering, along with some physical injuries such as sleepless nights. We've had some kids that have experienced bedwetting, flashbacks. Most of them have been diagnosed with PTSD following this event. And so that is the nature of the cases that I have, which are civil in nature. And
is the assistant principal named in this, or is the district is the same scenario as we saw with Abby's lawsuit?
It is the same scenario as Abby's lawsuit. However, in my case, everyone is still in the case. So gotcha. In Abby's case, right before trial, I think back in maybe July of 2025, there was a hearing, and the school board and Dr. Foster Newton were both dismissed from the case, leaving only Ebony to stand that trial that you just finished up last week. In my case, we haven't made it yet to those motions, and so every entity is still in my case as a defendant.
Gotcha, it makes sense. Let's talk about the criminal case that is ahead here. What are your thoughts? I mean, the civil, I get the, you'd sue her, but should this woman, she had a horrible day at work, she made every wrong decision you could argue, should she go to jail or prison for that? What's your take on the state going after her criminally?
Well, I think it's important for people to know that this was a very special proceeding that happened in order to bring these charges, which was a special grand jury. So in Newport News, they convened a confidential, I believe, special grand jury, and they heard evidence over a course of about 2 to 3 weeks, which is essentially like a trial, but with a lot less of the rules. And their job was to determine if they felt, based on that evidence that they had heard, was there enough to bring these charges? And they decided yes. And I don't know if you've read the report that they wrote, but it was scathing. I have never seen a special grand jury report with such detail and frankly emotion. And I was there during those proceedings because some of my clients gave testimony in that special grand jury proceeding. And it was really hard to hold back tears from most of the people in the room when you heard from these parents. And so it's a tough question to answer because we're all human and we certainly have sensitivity to and sympathy for an individual who's facing so much for this one event. But wow, obviously a group of her citizen peers felt that she failed these children and she failed everyone in the school that day. And that's why these charges are here. Your
8 students that you represent, and how many will be testifying? How do you prepare them? I mean, will you be there? Do they have to testify? What do you know now, and what are you getting ready for?
Sure. I have at least 4 clients who will testify in the criminal trial. They are prepping with the prosecutor in that trial because, as you know, the prosecutor is the lead attorney in that case. He is bringing the criminal case against Ebony on behalf of our Commonwealth. And so I have a role in that in the sense that I'm helping my clients navigate, which is what is a very scary process, but I don't have a role as an attorney in that case. But I will be there standing beside them, especially those that are speaking. And they've been prepping over the past 2 weeks. Some of them won't testify, and it won't be any children. It will be parents and adult witnesses.
Okay, great. There's no kid. I mean, the kids were so young. One would hope that they wouldn't have to endure that. Let's listen to some of the employees at the school that testified during the civil proceedings. You could feel the emotion from them. Take a listen.
What did you do after you heard the frantic call? I know, Mr. Rawls. It's okay.
He shot her. And I said, he did what? And she said, yeah.
Did you hear the shooting?
Yes.
Okay. Once you heard the shooting, what did you think that was?
I knew it was a gunshot.
And where did you think it had come from?
Abby's room.
A 6-year-old. It's so hard to get your head around. And that was part of Dr. Parker's defense, which I'm sure we'll see play out in the criminal proceedings as well. A 6-year-old we don't think should have a gun and not bring one to school and not be able to use it. There's so many things that you can't get your head around. And that's what you saw there, that emotion. Do you expect that to play out again in the criminal proceedings?
Yeah, absolutely. That was Rawls that you just played. I was moved by his testimony as well because I know they're all just people that were at their regular job that day. And I know that these other teachers feel some level of personal responsibility. And I have to say, this is probably unpopular opinion, but the takeaway for me from the civil trial in the last 2 weeks, as I watched it in live, by the way, I really am grateful we had that opportunity for Court TV to stream it because my clients could watch it from home and they didn't feel like they had to sit in that courtroom with all of the news. So that was really something great for them to be able to watch from home. But one of the first questions that I had when I learned about these cases in January of 2023, everyone's focused on Abby, obviously, because she was very, very injured and it was a serious incident. But I just couldn't help but ask myself, why didn't anyone do anything? And what about these kids? Because for the longest time, we didn't hear about the children at all. It was just about Abby. And as I'm hearing about the testimony with what happened on the playground, there was a period of nearly an hour where 40 children were with a child who had a weapon, a gun, in his sweatshirt. Yeah. And she knew that.
Yeah, and well, yeah, it's horrible. The whole case is horrible. We appreciate you, Emily, coming on.